Where is InsurTech headed next? This is where indie agents own the answer. Welcome to the Vertafore Insurance Podcast. Let's go. Welcome back, insurance industry, to another episode of the Vertafore Insurance Podcast. Today, I have not one, not two, but three amazing guests with us today. And we are going to unravel the new initiative that's happening under the hood here at Vertafore. We call it AgencyOne. So without further ado, I would love to introduce you all to three amazing humans and epic vice presidents of product management. The one and only Jace Hopper. How are you, sir?
Good to see you, Sid. Thanks for having me.
Good to see you. Dana Pascali. Nope, close enough.
Dana Pasquale, yeah.
Dana Pasquale. How are you?
Awesome, thanks.
Wonderful. And Jess Butler.
Hey, Sid. Thanks for having me.
Wonderful to have you too. All right, so we're here to unpack this new initiative, AgencyOne. Could you guys give me a high level? I'm just going to throw this one out in the middle here. What high level is AgencyOne? How would you describe this initiative that Vertafore is running towards?
Yeah, maybe I'll start. I mean, AgencyOne really is our portfolio strategy. It is our effort towards modernizing the agency. So it's not an initiative per se, but it is our entire portfolio strategy of how all of our products, across the suite of products that we have, through all the acquisitions that we've done over many years, is really coming together, right? And all the modernization that we're doing on the front end and the back end around those products. And so it's an awesome evolution that we're undertaking, and one that we've been on a journey on for many years now, towards making this a reality. But AgencyOne is that portfolio strategy that we're taking as an organization across all of our products.
Okay, so it's not a dashboard.
No, it is not just a dashboard.
It's not a platform.
It's all of it, right? It's all of the above. And so we've spent a lot of time, and myself, Dana, and Jeff have spent a lot of time really thinking about, like, how do we introduce across these cool products and amazing products that we have sort of a strategy that really allows for us to think differently and really pull sort of all of the products that we have, all the suite of products that our customers use together in a meaningful and thoughtful way, through one experience and from a front end perspective, and one core from the back end. So it's a big part of our strategy and how we're really introducing our roadmap and planning our roadmap as we proceed across all of our products.
Okay, so for those who are listening who are not in product, have ever been in product, when you say the words portfolio strategy, I think they might get a little bit lost. So Dana, what does that term portfolio strategy, maybe you could break that down for us. What does that mean?
Absolutely. Well, first off, we know that our customer base doesn't just use one product. They have lots of technology in their tech stack, right? Yeah. So when we're talking about a strategy in our portfolio, it's all of our products, because we recognize that our users aren't just using a management system or a CRM or a rater, right? They're using these things together. And so therefore, that's how we're thinking about building a modern strategy and a portfolio strategy across all of our products. So that's really what it is. It means we're thinking at a bigger level, and we're thinking how things work together. How does this drive efficiency for you and your teams? Because it's not whether you're in this product or that product, you're actually able to do things quicker. Workflows are integrated and streamlined, and data, you have access to your data on the back end. So really, it's all about driving efficiency, and we're doing that by thinking about how our users are using our software and what's changing for them, and we're changing too.
Okay, so I heard agencies are no longer using just an agency management system. So they're using, and I did read a study a bit ago by a company called Catalyst that showcased how, on average, agencies in 2023 are using between 6 and 11 different solutions.
Right.
That's a lot of technology to, wrap together. And, every different, if you look at the vertical of insurance, there's different segments, right? So the tech that a smaller mid-size agency might use is going to be different than the tech that not large agency, but not mid-size agencies using versus that top 100 broker. So how are you three working together to figure out? I mean, this just gets really complicated really quickly, right? I mean, because we've got 16 products at Vertafore, I think a minimum of 16 agency products. How in the world do you guys tackle, which products does this type of agency use, and how do these come together? And I'm honestly getting a headache thinking about it.
It is complicated, right? And the interesting thing, and I was actually having a conversation with somebody just yesterday about this. The industry has changed so fast, right? In the last, COVID really kind of turned a lot of how these larger agencies need to approach it, how we interact with our users, right? And so it's been a big shift for everybody to try to say, how do we tackle this new world, this new industry, problem that exists? And so I think, one of the most fundamental principles, and I definitely think it'd be worthwhile to get the perspective from everybody here, but, we as a group have really started focusing on what are the core problems, right? We start there, right? And that is so fundamental to how we make sure that we're solving across the products. We're not saying, here's what's happening in benefit point, and here's the benefit point stuff. Here's what's going on. Here's the new feature, right? We're taking a look at our users and we're saying, hey, you're using these 6 to 11 products, right? What are the problems that you have, right? That are making your day harder. They're not working for you. These products need to work for you, right? Instead of you working for the product. It's a different mindset shift, but we spend a lot of time thinking about grounding ourselves and our entire roadmap and what we do on what's the foundation of the problem and why are we doing it. So that's kind of the big way we've started to really ground ourselves across the organization.
Yeah, and really listening to our customers. What are our customers' workflows? How have they changed over the time? And now how are those products not meeting the needs? To Jace's point, but what are their workflows to begin with? Sometimes they'll understand the problem, but it's sometimes the why behind the why, and how we really solve for some of that with the solutions together.
Yeah. I think the last thing for me, Sid, just to kind of fine tune it, is we're looking at different agencies by size or by need or kind of the structure of their business, so we can actually try and create here's really what you need in order to reach your goals, right? So it goes back to what Jason's saying about what is your problem, but also there's a lot of change going on. And depending on where you are kind of in your maturity or your size, a scratch agency is going to look really different from a very large agency. So really being able to say, here's the technology that helps you reach your goals and solve your problems. That's how we're thinking about it. And how that manifests itself in Vertafore is we're talking all the time, our teams, right? Because it's not just about, hey, AMS 360 is doing this, and we're not going to talk to the rater or, any other products that it's integrated with, right? We do all the time. So the three of us, even though we're managing different parts of the portfolio, are lockstep in the sense that we have to know what's going on for our users across all of the products. Yeah. Right. They're actually using many products, as we just talked about.
Yeah. I give you guys so much credit. Seriously. You're like the dream team superstars of InsurTech, because you each carry such an important piece, but then you have to bring those pieces together to really align the strategy and the holistic vision. And that's something. I mean, it's tough, and it's amazing when it, all works together. So
it's fun, to be honest. And I, as somebody who's kind of looked at this complicated spider web, right? Not just, the Vertafore products, but all the products that are the different agencies use, from sort of the smallest of agencies to the largest of agencies. To Dana's point, every one of them is different in how and the problems they need to solve and the goals that they have. But it's fun to be able to say, hey, let's think differently now, right? How do we leverage the power of the technology, the power of what we can do through modernization, through experience, through different things, to really make sure that we're capitalizing on, what we can do within this industry.
Yeah.
So super exciting stuff. And I can't, emphasize how, much progress we've already made, right? This strategy is one that took us time to figure out, right? Because of the complicated spiderweb that does exist. But, as an organization, the product leaders and the rest of the organizations have spent a lot of time really grounding ourselves on how do we think, about the things in a common framework? How do we think about the things holistically? And so that's where you're going to see a lot of that play out across the products as you continue to use the products that, that our users love every day.
So what are some of those pain points, like high level pain points? And Jace, I would love to hear just from that large broker, top 100 broker side of things, like as you've talked to these guys, it's funny, it feels like we're all going through this transformation and modernization at the same time, which is kind of cool. What are you hearing from them as far as the biggest challenges?
Yeah, a lot of these large organizations are growing super fast, right? And their businesses are becoming more and more complicated, right? So, a large agency 4 or 5 years ago was 500 people. Right? Now we're talking about some agencies that are 15,000, right? If not higher, right? And so these are Goliaths in the space. And so they have completely different challenges than some of those smaller agencies. But, the challenges a lot of these large agencies face are, they're acquiring. How do we bring these customers into this common framework that we're creating so that we can manage our business and continue to grow and scale with efficiency? How do I, across all these products, get a single view of a customer, right? If you think about the core of the insurance industry, it's all about relationships. And if I don't have an entire view of my customer across all the products that I'm using, that relationship is going to be harder to manage, right? At the end of the day, you're trying to create the most effective relationship with your customer possible. And we have great toolkits, right? We have great products, and they all, in many cases, have information that's relevant about that customer. So these large agencies are asking us, how do we bring that together into a way that gives me that central view, that allows for me to create a stronger relationship with the customer? Those are just a couple examples of what these large agencies are facing. And there are differences. Every one of them is trying to solve a different thing, but we see a lot of commonality across what the large agency space is trying to tackle right now.
Dana, any challenges in that mid-sized market that you've seen, but kind of bubble up to the top as you've gone into agencies and talked with them and really tried to peel back the onion on where are you heading and what roadblocks are you facing to get there?
Yeah. So in the mid-sized agency, right, there's can be a lot of shift in terms of, your business overall. You may be getting into some niche markets, right? You may need to get better access to your data. So kind of as Jace was just saying, like, you want to be able to see your business and understand your business and where your opportunities are for growth and where your opportunities are to specialize and where your opportunities are just overall to improve your business and be more operationally efficient. So I think the one interesting thing that I see within the mid-market space is really trying to optimize the technology that you're using. Right. Making sure that you're using the right tech for your business so that you can get a great view of your business and it can help springboard you to where you want to go and move forward. So, yeah.
On the carrier side of the house, from a carrier side perspective and connectivity, it's working with them to streamline their processes and their workflows as well, so that we can simplify our integrations, make them be faster to market, speed to market. So so the agents can get all of that benefit and we can benefit the whole ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and talking about the carrier side, I mean, just to give an example, right, of sort of this cross product, it may seem simple, right, or it may seem like it's not an efficiency gain, but the login, experience that we have, we're working really heavily with the ID Fed right now, the ID Federation, to really try to figure out how do we simplify the login flow that an agent needs to do when they're going and interacting with the carrier. Instead of having another page to log in, how do we allow for a single login across all of our products through our Vertafore single sign-on, right? If you want to federate, you can do that, meaning you log in your day and you get access to all the products. Now, how do we take that one step further and now allow that same login to be accepted and passed through to the carrier so that you don't have to go log in again? Now, a credential manager will still manage your credentials that are needed for that side of the business, but it takes out that one extra step. Right, one extra password that you have to remember, and we all know that that's a pain in the butt today. So, that's sort of just an example, right, of where you're starting to see that connectivity flow through. And we're working not just within Vertafore, but with ID Fed and carriers and others to solve that, identity providers to solve that problem,
that pain point.
Yeah. That's huge. No, and I mean, listen, I used to work in an agency, and I can tell you right now that if you guys would have been around 10 years ago when I was selling insurance and I didn't have to log into 10 carrier portals, I would have hugged all of you at that moment. So it sounds like a simple thing, but it is, to do it day in and day out, it does become a time suck. So it's exciting. So okay, it sounds like there's a sort of a two sides to the same coin here. And I want to dig into that because I think people just look at technology and say, well, it's all one thing, right? It's just make the technology better. And you guys are kind of thinking of this as the front end and the back end. And I want to dig into why it's so important to think about it in those two categories. Because I know you guys do this every day and it feels like, well, of course, that's how we would think about it. We have the platforming and the data on the back end and the UX on the front end. And most people just their brains don't wrap around that, right? So we want to boil this down, make it really simple for people. Break that apart for me. How are you guys thinking about sort of that front end development and the back end development?
I think a lot of us are working with, Kelly Byram in our group to on kind of that common UX UI framework for the agents from an experience perspective. How do we get there incrementally? How do we get there over time? This is a journey. So I don't know, Dana, Jace, thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think the front end work is all about your users' time.
Yeah.
It's about time. It's about making it easy to navigate, to complete workflows within the software and the technology that you're using, because really time is money. You know that more than anything. And agencies need to be focusing on the relationships with their customers, not working in systems. So giving them the time back, because that's what we're talking about on the experience side, having the software work for you instead of you working in the software. It's a little different philosophy. And that's why we're all here to talk about, it's not just one product. It's part of this portfolio, the strategy, all of our solution strategy, that front end has to be streamlined. It has to be easy to learn, and it needs to be that way because we understand what's happening in the market, right? There's a lot of young people coming into this space. There's certain expectations that they have on how they interact with technology, mobile, right? Browser, all sorts of stuff, right? So we understand that, and that's what we're focusing on in that one view.
Yeah, so that would break out into, we talked about the login, so kind of that starting point, design, and would love any detail that you guys can kind of provide on these kind of core pillars or components. So you have that design piece with Kelly, the integrations. When we talk about the streamlining, I think the word streamlining is kind of overused sometimes. Look, I'm a marketer. I use it all the time. I get paid. It's like I got to put the $5 in the jar sort of situation. But that really is talking about the integration. So, maybe a little more on what that means and what streamlining is. Is there anything else that I'm missing on that UX piece as far as core components, or is that really wrap it up.
I think you hit on it mostly. I think there's one other component that we're looking at from an experience perspective, and it's really thinking about common components, like things that are common and common behaviors that exist across our products. So within the concept of design, right, you want things to be easy to learn, right? You want things to be intuitive, right? And so when we look across sort of features and functionality that exists across all of our products, I'm trying to use some simple examples here. So something like search, right? Search behaves differently across a lot of our products.
Interesting.
And so what the design team is doing, what our common services are doing, are starting to introduce a notion of commonality, not just from an experience perspective, from what you see, look, and feel, but actually how it behaves. And so you're going to start to see that shift in terms of the design and the framework that we're incorporating across our products, to where you will be seeing the same behaviors as well. So when you click on a drop down, it's going to look and feel and act the same. When you click on an action button, it's going to look and feel and act the same. Search functionality will behave the same. And so that's all being introduced across the product. So sort of on the experience side, that notion of shared components and looking across sort of the behavior and things that we can introduce really will help a lot in terms of how we move the needle there.
So it's not.
I just want to.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Sid. I just wanted to add to that, because I'm the queen of oversimplification of things, and I always am very visual. And so I think of this shared services, right, like as building blocks. But today, in many cases, when you're looking at a portfolio of products, you're building that building block today for every product. That's not efficient. Yeah. So now we're looking at building that building block once and utilizing it across the portfolio of products.
I see.
Okay. Right. So it streamlines things. It makes it easier from a design perspective for users to use. Right. And it also is a streamlined way to develop. Right. And be able to have an impact in the marketplace. So just adding my simple view of things.
That's amazing. I love the conceptualization there. And just pointing out here, it's not just colors. It's that when we talk about design,
100%.
It is not just color. This is an in-depth deep dive on how things work, and really breaking apart like the functionality itself and almost rebuilding it. It seems like too, it almost saves on the development side, right? So if you've got one thing that works one way, and this obviously never happens in technology, something goes wrong, right? You've got one place to fix it, it seems like, right? One place to move it forward, one place which makes your job easier, which makes the development, I would think, to move that component forward faster. Is that true?
100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, you nailed it. And I think that's such a big part of how we're approaching this as well. Is we're not trying to over-engineer, reinvent the wheel here, right? We're not. We're trying to introduce things that make sense, right? That simplify both for the user in terms of efficiency, and also allow for us to move faster and be more efficient with the resources that we have, so that we can introduce new capabilities faster for our users. And it's important to call out from an experience perspective, we're doing all this in a way that's being brought to the existing products. And so through very smart design, our design team is incredible. And all the research and things they're doing, and the ways we're thinking about introducing these products and these sort of enhancements to these products, we're doing it in a way that is minimizing disruption, right? We're trying to introduce this in such a way that it's we're very smart about how it comes to life. So it's not overwhelming to the users, and it becomes part of their natural day-to-day. We all just get naturally used to it, and then we replace it, right? And so there's sort of very smart ways that we can go about through design, through smart product development, to really incorporate this modernization on the experience side into these products without having to say, hey, go over here now, right? Because that's not what we're trying to do. Yeah.
So just to key in on that last point before we get into the back end, which I'm really excited to talk about data and AWS and platforming and everything. Dana, one of the initiatives that you had tasked our product marketing team with on the agency side was this workflow initiative, and the goal of that was to say, hey, let's let's step back and think about it from the segment's view, the agent's view, the persona of the user, right? What is the service person's renewal steps? What are their action items across these different solutions? And, what is the producer's steps, right? And where is their friction? Talk to me a little bit about why that matters, right, from an integration perspective, and why you were, why you created this project and why we're working on it.
Yeah. I mean, to me, that's everything, Sid, right? It's all about, it goes back to our vision is to simplify and automate the insurance lifecycle, right? That is what we are trying to do. And so the best way to do that is really just to sit back and understand from our users' perspective in the workflows that they deal with every day, where are the pain points? Where are those friction points, right? Because in the essence of everything that we do in product, our job is to solve problems and to do that with technology. And so if we don't understand what those problems are and where they are, it means we're fixing stuff that isn't impactful. And our job is so we have to understand those problems, and this is a great way to do that. And I mean, for example, like I'm going on a ride along next week to actually see these things live at customers. That's what pumps me up, right? Because we're not just sitting here building software because we think it's going to help you, right? It has to be rooted in actually, what the users are doing today and where the pain points are. So that's the fun part of our job.
Yeah. Oh, I'm excited about it. I think it's going to whip our product marketing team into shape too. So I'm pumped.
It's good learning for everybody. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So Dana, walk me through the back end piece here. When we talk about and I know we call it one core. So we're AgencyOne is broken up into these two buckets, right? One experience, which is, hey, we're bringing stuff together on the front end, and then one core on the back end. What are we doing back there? What's behind the UX? I didn't even know anything existed back there. Right.
right. What's behind the curtain, everybody?
Yeah. Show me the wizard.
This is where I get really excited because I'm the data nerd. Okay. So I love the aspect of what's behind the curtain. Like what's really fueling all of this is the data in your systems, the database, right? There's, a level to the presentation layer, the front end, you have your service layer, right? And then you have your data base, your data layer. And so I'll talk about the data stuff. I'll give Jason, Jess can talk about some of the service stuff we're doing, but just in the kind of foundational piece of the data, it's about having better access to that data. And again, having that data, when we talk about how does that then flow through to the user experience, it's having that data move with you. Right. So it's kind of the structure of the data and how we're making it more accessible for you to have that visibility into the data, visibility into reporting, visibility into what Jace was talking about from a one customer view. All of that is in the back end in terms of getting better access to that data and having a better way to model it. Right. And so that's a big part of what's part of the one core on where we're thinking about across the portfolio, how do we have that data kind of in one place so that you can access it, that it can help you, move data from one product to the other, that can help you integrate with other third parties, that can help you connect better with your carriers. All of that is really foundational from a technical perspective. And it's super, super exciting. And by the way, we're not the only ones going oh yeah, data is really important, right? But it's becoming more and more important, right? How can you do anything if you don't know and don't have the visibility into kind of your core business and what you're doing in the data?
So just to dig into that, you're saying if I have 6 different products or solutions, then my data could potentially be in 6 different places. And then I really can't get one view, as Jace was explaining before, of really what's going on with my team or business or clients. So you're saying you're going to bring it all into one place. You're going to take the 6 products and you're going to bring it all into one place for the most part.
We're looking at 2 flavors of that. One, bringing it into one place so you can have better reporting, right, and be able to see it. And the second one is some customers are already trying to solve this problem themselves. They have their own data lakes, their own databases. And so being able to deliver that to your centralized aggregated data store so that you're able to see that data. So those are the 2 flavors.
Wow, that's huge. That's huge.
Kind of big.
Yeah, I can't even imagine like that.
Foundational.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know, Jess, do you have anything to add on that? I know I'm a nerdy.
No, I mean, the data piece is from a core perspective is critical to us being able to think about it. So, Data talked about those different layers, right? The service, the data, layer. It allows for us to really start to think different, right? About how do we leverage and integrate our products? Do we need to tap into all the different, APIs, or can we lean on the data layer? So we're able to think, in a much more smart way about how we solve it. And I think through what Dana's getting at and what the team is doing there, it's really making it easier for our customers, because today to get at this data, okay, I'm going to use ODBC here, I'm going to use VPN over here, I'm going to use all different mechanisms to get the data today, and they're all different. And they all work differently, right? And so this kind of alludes to the whole commonality, the common, simple frameworks that we're trying to create to, in and around that data. It's so important for our customers. Some of our large agencies are using data in so many creative ways right now. It is incredible. And I mean, it's so fun to see how they're starting to think about how data can actually help them in their business in a way to sort of, make sure that they're servicing their customers more effectively. And so the power of that data is huge for what we're trying to do on the back end side of things.
Yeah, it's exciting to see how, the data within, instead of having the 6 different products or the 6 different data attributes, right, Sid? Having those, remove duplicate entries. It's around the ecosystem of not just Vertafore, but really connectivity whole to the industry as a whole, and really bringing more of that to market for customers and carriers.
This is a powerful piece. I mean, I really don't know that. I think people like to talk about the UX because it's what they see and work in, but that layer beneath is, I mean, I guess you could say we live in a data economy today. Right, with everything that's going on with Facebook, et cetera. So the fact that we're thinking data forward, that's pretty, I want to say that's pretty sexy. Like,
it is. And think about where the industry is going, right? In terms of the needs to be more advisors, right? Versus sort of just, capturing data. You need that data in order to say, hey, Jace, you need this type of insurance on your house, right? I shouldn't have to be the one to ask. The power of the data becomes more predictive, right? And it allows for us to take that full view and say, I am unique as an individual. My business is unique. How I, interact with my family dynamic, whatever, it's all unique. So how do you, through the data, start to introduce more of this advisory mentality? And leverage that data in a way that, to be honest, we've never, leveraged to that extent before. And so it's really
creating more actionable analytics, actionable data for our customers, their business.
Yeah, and that's where the AI machine learning stuff really gets me super pumped up, because now that you have that data, now we can deliver things to customers to really help them continue to improve and grow their business and focus, right? So we're in a market now where some of the kind of consolidation is slowing a bit. And right, so it's really about really driving efficiency and focusing on kind of your key niche in your agency. And in order to do that, right, utilizing the power of that data to say, hey, this is where you're really doing a great job selling commercial auto in these zip codes. But you know what? You're getting outsold over, on this, this is a great opportunity for you. And being able to deliver that actionable insight, as Jess is saying, to those agencies so they can actually just focus on where the great opportunities are for their specific agency is very powerful. But it starts foundationally with the overall data, one core kind of foundation.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because we just had Dean Guillaume on the podcast from Paradox Insurance, immediate outgoing past chairman of NetView. I believe I got that correct. And
that's a lot of words.
He's an he's an amazing guy. He runs off AMS 360 and AgencyZoom, and he talked about how when he started wrapping his hands around reporting and data from AMS 360, he thought his niche was, I think it was, I want to say it was real estate was what he thought. But when he started pulling the reports, he realized he was completely wrong. It was something else. And and he just has, enough producers and enough business coming in that his, the anecdotal stories he was hearing about what was being sold and his perception of his business didn't really match up with the data at the end of the day. But he didn't know it until he started pulling things. So it's just fascinating, absolutely fascinating.
Right.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, the cool thing about what we're doing with the data is also another lens of part of the one core, which is sort of the power in what we're doing with AWS and bringing our products into the cloud, right, to be more SaaS, right, products. We talked a lot about sort of the power of a partnership that we have with AWS and what we're doing there in a previous podcast. But just to kind of summarize it really quickly, like AWS, which is a big part of our cloud journey, our partner there is helping us create technology that is critical for this insurance industry, right? And so they're not just saying, hey, Vertafore, here's a bunch of tools, right, that you can leverage now. We are taking advantage of a lot of that, and that's another part of the infrastructure sort of that we're looking at. How do we replace some of that core? But they're working with us. They're building stuff for us. They're partnering with us in ways, especially on the data side of how we can create something that's never been done before in a very unique way of delivering that type of stuff. And so it's really neat to sort of see how that sort of core really all comes together with, Amazon and the data and sort of other things that we're doing that really will allow us to move faster and deliver on value for our customers.
Well, I want to wrap up here with just a couple thoughts on high level why this is such an important topic of discussion, and it's really why I came to Vertafore, was AgencyOne, and hearing about what you guys are working on. I was really excited to tell the story. I'm still really excited as I hear what's going on under the hood. And the reason is for those agencies listening who are a part of the Vertafore family, you guys probably don't know it quite yet. Hopefully you're starting to get a taste of this as you've listened to this podcast, but you are in the most prime position to be an incredibly competitive independent agency coming into 2024, 2025, and ongoing years. And the reason for that is because what you have with the Vertafore family is this ability to customize a tech stack or a tech suite that works for you and get all the benefits and all the opportunities of having that what we might call all-in-one experience, but without having any of the pitfalls. Right? You don't have the ceiling, you don't have the gated garden, the lack of open architecture, the lack of ability to bring things in that work for you. And that's what makes this so special, is that these guys are working on a way to keep the independent agent independent every single day through their technology, but not let them have any of the risk or challenges of building that custom tech suite. So I am just like, I love what you guys are doing. It is, I think, the hardest job in the industry right now is to give agents the power to build that out the way they want to build it out, but still have everything integrated and work really well together. It's a huge challenge, but I can't think of 3 people that could tackle it. So thank you for everything you guys are doing.
It's a fun journey, and to be honest, it's one that and Dana's going next week. We love working with our users on this stuff. It's what makes our job fun, right?
Yeah.
Being able to disrupt this industry and make change is, to be honest, I'm super passionate and excited about it, and I love working with this team, right, to make it all come to life. And so it's been awesome.
Yeah, we're all one team, external, internal.
One team, one
Yeah.
view, one core, agency
Yeah.
one.
Come on.
Yeah.
I love it. Listen, okay, bro, I'm the marketer here.
Sorry, threw that in. I was just
Yeah,
off the
clearly, yeah, you're right.
What
you're
I
right.
do.
You're right. We tried.
We tried.
I'm kidding.
But honestly, thank goodness you're here.
Yeah.
I
Much
tried.
better with the strategy part. You can handle the marketing strategy.
Absolutely.
I try. Well, thank you guys for coming on. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to having you back on, a couple months to hear how AgencyOne's moving along.
Thanks
Awesome.
for having me.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Love what you heard? Listen, don't stop here. We know you don't want to. Hit subscribe on your favorite podcast platform or YouTube if you love watching, and get notified as soon as new episodes come out weekly. Let's go.